Over the years, I have hilled my potatoes with a variety of different means, such as soil, wood chips, hay, and straw. I'll explain to you why I have chosen to start hilling my potatoes exclusively with straw. Once your potato plants start to grow, you'll want to do a practice known as hilling. Hilling your potatoes has many benefits for your developing crop. First of all, when your potato tubers are starting to develop, they will develop at the soil level, but they can't be in contact with the sun, or else they'll develop a green skin, and that's not edible. So what you want to do is you want to cover the soil, and you want to cover that place where your potatoes are developing. To do that, you can add some kind of a mulch like straw or even your soil and bring it up against the plant like this, almost creating a ridge for your potato plants. The second reason why hilling your potatoes is important is it serves as really good weed suppression. Your developing potatoes are not going to develop at the great rate that they could if they're competing with other weeds in the area. And plus, who wants to weed their garden more than they have to, right? The third reason hilling your potatoes is important especially applies to you if you live in a hotter climate like I do. Potato tubers develop more rapidly and larger if they're not inhibited by hot soil. So by adding some kind of a mulch and hilling your potatoes, you're actually insulating the soil and keeping it as cool as possible. And in this way, you can hope for a bigger, better potato harvest. When you hill your potatoes, you'll take some sort of mulch or even your dirt and you will bring it up against the potato plant, almost creating a ridge. This will allow your potato tuber to develop in that loose soil and perhaps even grow a little bit bigger. The first way I hilled my potatoes was with soil. I just took the soil that surrounded my potato plants and I took a hoe and I hoed the soil into a ridge on top of the potato plants. And while that worked out well, it was a lot of back-breaking labor. And I also found that I had more problems with the fungal disease early blight. You may have heard of that being a problem with tomato plants. It can also affect potato plants. I found that early blight definitely hurt my harvest in the long run. The second thing I started using was wood chips. And even though wood chips was a lot easier to hill with rather than having to hoe the soil, I also found that I had more trouble with early blight with those wood chips. Partly that's probably because I was using wood chips from the previous season. They weren't fresh, but still early blight can find a home more readily in wood chips than in other sources. I really loved hilling my potatoes with hay, and I had great success with that in years past. But last year I hilled my potatoes with hay, and I also mulched my tomatoes with hay, and that hay ended up having been poisoned by a very common herbicide called aminopyralid. And this completely poisoned my soil and hindered my harvest. It didn't completely kill my crops, but I learned very quickly that I'm not going to take that risk again. If I can't get an organic source of hay, I am not putting it on my garden. Finally, I settled on hilling my potatoes with straw. I like that straw does not have that contamination of herbicide residue like the hay does, and it's also very easy to put on my plants. Another benefit is, like hay, straw as it breaks down will provide ample organic matter and nutrients for future crops in the same space. Also, and this may be completely unrelated, but I have noticed this year with the straw, I haven't seen near as many pest issues on my potato plants. Again, that just could be the year, but it's something that I definitely want to take note of and look at in the future. For all these reasons, I've decided to hill my potatoes with straw, and I have found that so far it's been a great decision, and I'm hoping for an incredible potato crop this year.